Hey everybody, welcome to the Arcade City Podcast number 3. We are back this week with Kevin. Welcome
Woo!
back.
Hey.
We had a little bit of a debacle last time, so we ended up doing a full-on gaming podcast. But we're back this week. We're going to be talking movies, Shield, some gifts for the holidays since we just passed Thanksgiving and Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that good stuff. So let's get right into it. So last time, like I said, we had a big debacle. What was going on? I know we all had problems.
Well, I came up to get on to the podcast and woke my computer up and could tell that I did not have internet connectivity. So the way I have my I'm upstairs in kind of a converted attic office. So I've got a range extender that goes to my wireless modem, which is actually downstairs connected to the TV. And I rebooted that. Nothing worked. I went downstairs. I rebooted my router. Nothing. Then I did the actual modem. Nothing. And that's when I kind of realized, okay, well, obviously I just don't have internet service, period. And it's not. Usually it's one of those three things that goes out, and all I have to do is reboot it, and then I'm fine. But that did not happen last
Yeah,
Friday, whenever it was.
was that now we're in PA, both of us actually. So was that due to um, we had a snowstorm that weekend, which I actually lost power on Saturday. I was supposed to be doing another podcast, which I lost power for most of the day. We were out, luckily. So when we came back, I was only waiting like an hour and a half, but I was freaking out because you know how it is in the area that we are when we're up there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't get your problem fixed right away. You might be powerless for a few days in some areas. But was it due to the storm, or was it just
I
a power?
I assume so. I don't really know. Then the next morning it was back up. So it may have. I never lost any power. It just maybe just locally the cable. I get it through my cable company. So maybe for some reason it was
Yeah,
just out. I don't know.
yeah, that's what we had too. We had, well, I was also having problems. There was three of us last week. Well, there was supposed to be. It was supposed to be me, you, and James, and
Hmm.
then James and I ended up doing just talking games pretty much, and doing the debacle that we did the very first podcast, where we just kind of jumped from place to place and talking. But he was having a problem where he had to reset his computer, and then I had a problem when my router went out, and then I had to reset it. But then when I reset it, it still wasn't coming in. So it took me a good 30 or so minutes, I think, before I was ready to go, just with my router. So I mean, we all had problems last week, but we're back, so
All right.
it's a good thing.
Yep.
I wanted to quick jump into we had the holiday, we had Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Did you get into any of that stuff at all, or did you try to stay away from it?
I stay away from it. I don't like. Okay, so the big thing that seemed to be going around with all of this was the fact that some of the stores were opening up on Thanksgiving, like at 4 or 5 or earlier. It's earlier and earlier. Black Friday actually seems to be coming like Black
Thursday.
Thursday evening to Friday, and I've never been one to do anything on Black Friday as far as shopping, and certainly not on Thanksgiving. I don't have any problem with people doing the shopping on Black Friday. I a little bit on Thanksgiving. You should be spending that time with your family, but I understand if there are deals to be made, you got to do it. But
I agree.
yeah, I usually use Black Friday to decorate the house for the holidays, and that's what I did with my girls.
Yeah, we did Thursday there were some or I guess they're calling them doorbusters now for
Mm.
for Toys R Us and stuff like that. There were a few things that we were gonna go grab, and then it got to the point where we were like, you know what, we're just not gonna go. Friday we ended up going out, but at night. And my problem with my problem with Black Thursday, Friday, is the fact that some of the deals that they have only last a few hours.
Hmm.
So in the madness that already is, and I'm, we've talked about before, I'm down in the Philadelphia area, so it's a little bit more hectic. Um, but the crowd that already is showing up is there, and then you got the people who are trying to show up for these special deal hours. So one of the big major players in that whole thing is the place who sells walls, a la Walmart. Um,
Oh. The place with walls. What?
yeah, you
A
know.
wall store.
Yeah. They seem to be the biggest the biggest store that does these few hours here, few hours there. So maybe from 2 to 4, there's really great deals on DVDs, but then from 4 to 5, there might be some electronics or something on sale or whatever the case may be. When we went, they had a whole color coding system and everything for DVDs, which didn't work because I picked up what was the movie I picked up? It was one of the newer kids movies like Turbo or something like that, which had a purple sticker on it. Then I found another Turbo on the other side which had a yellow sticker on it. So telling me what price it was didn't help. Plus our Walmart has limited scanners in it. I think there's maybe only 4, if that, throughout the whole store. So everybody's lined up at the scanner because the same thing is going on. They're trying to see what price some DVDs are because they're finding different colors and everything. And a couple of them were like $2, which we got out of the store with, and then some of them that should have been marked down or that were only at that special price for a certain time were already remarked up to, like, some of them I think were special editions, so $34 or whatever because you're getting the Blu-ray and whatever.
Right.
So that kind of irked me. We went in, we're looking at cameras and stuff like that, but again, those deals were already peeled off. So things that were on sale that I know were kind of a big thing for Black Friday, like the GoPro 3 action camera. That was on sale, but by the time we got to it, I think it was back at its regular price point, which I think is around $300. So we stayed away from that. Cyber Monday.
What was the sale price supposed to be?
I think the sale price might have brought it around like $200. It was probably like $100 off or something like that, plus a mail-in rebate. I know some other stores other than Walmart had some good deals on it, but just out of my curiosity, I picked it up to see what it was going to cost, and it was back at the regular price point already. And they had actually took the box cutter and cut off whatever the sale price was and ripped it out of there, so no one got confused because, you know, people go in there looking for their deal and complaining that the price is marked at whatever, and then they got to stand there and do that whole thing. Cyber Monday was, there are deals all weekend long. Like you said, Black Friday it's going into Black Thursday, and then going through Sunday, we get into Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday, there wasn't a lot of tech stuff that I was really looking for, or I mean that's the main reason I would use Cyber Monday. But I mean, there's also other deals, and I really didn't see any better deals than I would have got throughout the weekend. So I didn't really do a lot of that.
I don't know. I think Cyber Monday was something that they coined. Maybe I'm not sure how many years it's been around or actually a thing, but I think that was something they coined to try to get people to do more online shopping as an alternative, I guess, to Black Friday. And now it's like you can buy stuff online. I think it's much more mainstream to buy online than it was when they first started Cyber Monday, so I don't think it's as big of a deal. I didn't even bother to look, I used to be much more of a Cyber Monday person than I was a Black Friday person, but now it's, the only thing I saw was that, there was a piece of technology. I bought a tablet for the girls, and I could have gotten a better deal. Actually, I think this was actually on Thanksgiving because I was looking at it, and there was it was like $150 less than what I paid, and I was like, man, I should send it back. But
that was a deal.
Yeah, that was a deal. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I don't like I said, I don't find it as much. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not really that into it. I mean, anymore. Cyber Monday used to be a thing just because, yes, online deals and shopping were a little bit different a few years ago. Now, most of the time, I'll cruise Amazon for the most part. If I find it somewhere better, I mean, I'll buy something there. But for the most part, most of my online shopping is done through Amazon, and with Prime and everything, I get the things in 2 days or a day or whatever it is. And I mean that usually I'm happy with that. I don't have to wait, weeks and weeks on end like you used to do, unless you wanted to pay like $50 in shipping for a lot of things, or an extra couple $100 depending on what it was and the size of it. Most of the shipping things seems to have worked themselves out over the years. So what I'm really liking is, I'll just do most of my shopping there. There are things that, yeah, I still do the dinosaur thing and go to an actual store and buy things, but those are more impulse buys or necessities,
Right.
not things that I'm trying to pick up for Christmas, unless, like I said, find a good enough deal. Might as well pick it up instead of getting home and being like, oh no, it was cheaper there. Now I'm gonna have to go back out. Just because going 5 miles around here takes me 40 minutes.
Right.
Traffic is horrible.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, we got a few things. We got a bulk of Christmas shopping done in those days, not excluding, which doesn't come into that, but I mean, we also found it's a horse for my youngest daughter on Craigslist. I had to drive like about an hour away to go pick it up from the guy, but it's one of these horses that if she's sitting on it and she pushes down and comes back up, the horse actually moves forward. So it's like it's a weird like aerobics looking machine that's covered in a horse skin. Kind of, it's soft. They have new ones that are plastic, but this is the old model where they actually used so it looks like a stuffed animal, and I think it holds up to 200 or 300 pounds, and then they have an adult one that holds up to like 500 pounds. So I mean they have
the kid one holds 200 to 300 pounds.
yeah, the kid one holds 200 or 300
Jeez,
pounds.
it's a big kid.
So yeah, so I mean it probably stands up to about my waist. So I mean it's something that we'll have to lift her up on, or they have like this little step contraption that comes down, and you actually use that. You put your feet in it like no, the spurs are the things on the back of the boots. Whatever the footholes on the saddle are basically what it's. Yeah, stirrups. There you go. Thank you. It kind of mimics that, but it's more of a help for the kid to get on the thing, and then there's 2 different settings for the levels of the feet that you can use it for. So we got a lot of stuff done this weekend, but it wasn't necessarily going to stores. Also this weekend we had, what else was going on? We had a celebrity death in a franchise. Paul Walker was in a car accident as a passenger, and he passed away. There was also, I'm just trying to pull it up here. I had it set off to the side. The other guy who was in the car was named Roger Rodas. It's Rodas.
Yeah.
He was the other one. I know a lot of people just give the celebrity attention, but we want to give both people whenever anybody dies. It doesn't necessarily have to be a celebrity, but that
Right.
we only ever hear the one side of who's in the car. We had the same thing. I believe it was about a year ago up this area in Westchester. Ryan Dunn from Jackass died. He was actually the driver of the car, but there was a passenger, and it was a whole thing in this area. Well, the other guy didn't get any attention, so we just wanted to mention that real quick. The interesting thing about it was he was there for a charity, and it was his charity actually, I believe, and they were on hiatus from filming the 7th Fast and Furious movie.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if it was mainly filmed already, and they were just going to do some pickup shots and some reshoots, or if this is a movie that we might not see light of day, just because if they were in mid-production, it's going to be hard to finish a movie where a character was just in a scene.
Yeah, they said they're shutting down the production for a period of time. Now, I will admit I have never seen a single Fast and Furious movie, so I
No?
don't. I honestly, when this news came out, I didn't even know who the guy was. So I
Wow.
can, I can plead total. I don't know who this guy is. I'm sorry. Obviously, sorry to see that he died. It's terrible. But I was not familiar with Paul Walker because I've never seen any of the Fast and Furious. So
Yeah,
there you go.
I was a fan in the first one. I did see the second one, and then honestly, I didn't see another one until the full cast came back, because they had a whole bunch of other ones in the middle. There was Tokyo
Right.
Drift. There was I think a couple other ones, and I think he was a part of the whole franchise except for one of the movies, if
Hmm.
I read that correctly. So I mean, I like him. They started bringing The Rock in. He's actually a good character to have in these newer movies, and that's pretty much what really got me into the newer movies. Besides the cars, which I always like to just
Hmm.
going on, they always kind of mix it up with a little bit of muscle and then a little bit of import. So I always like to see the cars in the movies. But
Well, I heard the
uh,
last trilogy. I guess I don't know if seven starts a new trilogy. Or if I know, and I also don't even know if these are set in trilogy. It seems like I read somewhere that something about their third trilogy or something like that. I don't know if it runs like that, but I understand the last couple movies are probably better because it returned more to the first movie, and like you said,
yeah,
the ones third, four, three or four, or two and three or whatever weren't as good, I guess, because they kind of I don't really know what the reasons were, but maybe someday I
yeah,
will pick them up and
yeah.
watch them.
I think everybody's big gripe with it was Vin Diesel wasn't in it,
Yeah.
so it was missing. From the first movie, it had that movie magic, and whatever happened in it happened in it. I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Okay.
Um, as we go on in the story, the later ones, especially this last one, which I actually haven't seen. Six, I have not seen only because I didn't see it in the theater. There's other things that I've tend to rent, so it really just hasn't gotten bumped up far enough in my queue, I guess, my mental queue,
Hmm. Hmm.
to make it to my eyes yet. So, the newer ones are going back to the old story, so old characters from the first movie. They've been like trickling in throughout the newer series, but
Well, in
it's
related Fast and Furious news, this just hot off the presses. The female, I don't know if she's the female lead in Fast and Furious 6, but Gal Gadot, Gadot, has been cast as Wonder Woman in the upcoming Batman vs Superman
ooh,
movie.
I'm
Yes,
gonna have to look that up.
and
I is she I
she's Greek, or she's an Israeli-born actress. So
okay, I think I know who she is then.
facial features, I think she'll work. Now, some of the pictures I've seen, she's awfully skinny,
Hmm.
and she needs to bulk up a bit to be Wonder Woman, I think. But I think facial features wise, I think that's all right. I think she'll look good. A lot of people were talking about the actress who plays Sif in Thor as being Wonder Woman, and I while she probably would have been fine, I'd had a problem if she was playing Sif and then also playing Wonder Woman. That just would have confused me, I think.
Oop.
Did I lose you?
Yeah. I don't like
Oh,
when they
okay.
cross over too much. We Yeah, we want we. I think I don't know if you just dropped out of my headset or off the whole broadcast for a second, but it pieced together just enough that you said if she was playing both, that would have bothered you.
Oh, okay.
I agree, to the
Yeah.
extent of if it's it's been it hasn't been long enough for that to happen. Like we talked to an extent last time about uh, Affleck being Batman. He was Daredevil, but
Mm.
it's been long enough where we'll have our peace with it. So, but that should be
Right.
interesting. Talking on the comic front, I know we're gonna jump into Shield. before we do that, because that's going to be the bigger part, we have to catch up on a few weeks here. Um, I did bring up to you recently that they were making The Crow. They're remaking the original Crow movie with Brandon Lee, which I don't know. I'm having a really hard time with that. The only reason I bring it up is it was also a comic, and they are and the other part of that is that they're casting Norman Reedus from Boondock Saints and The Walking Dead. They're casting him in the movie, not as the main role though. I might be a little bit better with it if he was the main role, just because I like him as an actor. But
Right.
with that being said, were you ever into the Crow series at all, or into the movies?
No, I mean I know that who was the original Crow? He died on the
Brandon
set.
Lee.
Brandon Lee, right?
Yep.
And but I never saw it. I think I read some of the comics way back when, but it was never something that overly interested me. So
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting. I think it is interesting they're going to remake it. Only because I think that Crow movie, and whether it's because it was really good or because of the fact that he died during the
It was
filming
really
of it.
good.
Okay, it has a cult following,
Yes.
and like I said, I didn't see it, so I wasn't sure if it was because it was really good or because of the circumstances around the movie itself. So
Yeah, it was in the fashion of I mean, it was, I believe, 94 it came out, 93, 94, somewhere around there. Um, and before there were things like the Sin City movie
yeah.
and stuff like that, there was The Crow, and it had the really dark imagery, and there was really, I mean, nothing that I can compare it to for the time.
But didn't it follow on the heels of the Tim Burton Batman?
Yeah, but that wasn't that. This was still
Darker.
darker.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. It was. For if you haven't heard or seen the movie, read any of the books, just the basic story is, guy and his girlfriend living in an apartment in a really bad neighborhood. They get murdered, pretty much. He comes back to life through. I don't know what you want to call it, magic or whatever, of this crow story, where he has a crow that follows him around. He can use the crow's eyes to see things, and he hunts down the people who did him and his girlfriend wrong and try to make it right. Within the story, you meet all the bad characters, and you meet this young girl who was she was like a friend of them. She had a mother, but her mother's a junkie, so they kind of were her adopted family in a way. And since they've been gone, she's kind of been living on the streets, even though she lives with her mom. But like I said, her mom isn't really that much of a mother figure anyway. So I mean, it was a really good story. It was a different story. I used to watch the movie a lot,
Yeah.
a lot. I used to watch it. I'm not even joking. I probably watched it once a day for 2 or 3 years. I liked it that much.
Wow.
The fact that he died on set didn't really factor into it. The thing that I was never really clear on was if he, which, this is probably just my fault of not looking it up before we're talking about it, but I didn't really know if he finished the movie or someone else came in and finished the movie.
I think it was
'Cause there's-
almost done.
Yeah,
And-
I know the scene where he died. It's just, they shoot things out of sequence anyway. So, and the girl, oh God, I didn't even pull it up. I should have. And there's an actress playing the girl this time around. They were talking about. This is the thing that was going to bother me even more about a remake of it. They were talking about the girl from Twilight, the main actress, playing this girl. And in the original, this girl is probably like 13. She's like a little skater chick. She's like 13 years old. So for that girl to be in the movie, which they've actually canceled that out since the first time I read it, which made me way more happy about it. I'm still kind of, like I said, up in the air about it, but whatever. It will be what it is, and hopefully it's done good, and it makes it to movie theaters, and it's something that people who aren't familiar with it can fall in love with this new one if they're not already in love with the old one.
And if it's done well.
Yes, that would be the main thing. Please just be done well. I don't care if it's. I don't want it to be frame for frame, but just do something with the story that makes it a very good story and gets people into it.
It's one of those things. It's like the Lone Ranger. I don't know why we can't get a decent Lone Ranger movie, but I kind of thought maybe. And I'm saying this. I didn't see the latest version with Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer, but it did not do well. And I thought, from the trailers, I thought it looked kind of fun. But I saw all the reviews that it stunk, so I never bothered to see it.
And that was the reason that you didn't see it, or?
Yep. I was swayed by other people's opinion, I guess. I normally don't do that, but it was so overwhelming of how bad it was. I just thought, I don't want to see it. The same thing with John Carter from Mars. I didn't see that because everybody thought it was terrible.
I did see that when it came on DVD. It was what it was, and it wasn't what I expected. I expected it to be a lot better, but I mean, it was what it was, and it was a time killer to sit here with the kids and watch it. So, if anything, that's all that mattered.
It just goes to show that just because comic book related, and maybe Lone Ranger kind of goes comic and movie, old time movie and TV show, but like Crow, just because it's a popular medium for movies now with the Avengers and Superman and all that, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good, and which says a lot for what they've done with Marvel and even Shield. What a segue, man! That was good.
There you go. So, we'll jump right into it. The episode that I had missed the last time we talked, I never caught back up on. So if you would like to go ahead and spoil it, I would like you to do so I can catch the episode that I missed.
All right, so let's see. I did not see last night's episode, so I don't know what happened.
It was a rerun. It was they start off in Tokyo and the guy's doing magic. It was the rerun of that one. I didn't watch past that only because I knew it was a rerun already. Okay.
So it has, again, like I said when we first talked, I thought the whole thing started too slow, and it has definitely picked up. But can you hear me all right? I am picking up a lot of static.
Yep. You're good.
Are you there? Okay. Okay.
On my end?
So, like I said, I thought it started off too... Yeah, you're cutting out. Hello?
Okay, you're good. You just keep going. Yep. Hello.
All right. Hello. Now I think we're out of sync.
Yeah. All right. You're good. You're good. If you just want to go, just go.
Okay. All right. So the episodes, it started off too slow, I think, and now it's built up nicely. And in the last, let's see, the last two, the one would be there was FZZT or Visit. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce that. That was the one that kind of focused in on the Simmons character, the girl nerd scientist. She got some sort of alien virus. That was that the one? Oh no, that was a pretty good one. That also not only kind of gave her a little bit more character, also the agent Ward, or I'm sorry, Grant. No, Ward, Grant Ward. I can't remember his name now. A little bit more character than him because he just jumped right out of the plane to save her when she jumped out. And then the next episode was the hub. That was also, unfortunately, I'm kind of drawing some. It's been a while since I've watched them, so I can't remember the specifics of it. But that one was good because it actually gave more character time to Fitz, the other nerd, the male nerd. as he and Agent Ward went on a mission. So he was out. Fitz was actually out in the field, and he's typically a nerdy guy and
Yep.
not one for a field thing, but he very well done. And then the well was supposed to be the big deal that was the crossover to Thor 2, and the crossover amounted to about basically just the scene prior
Mentioning
to.
Thor.
Yeah, basically that's it. The opening scene before they get to the opening credits, they're cleaning up the damage done by what was done in Thor 2, and that's the only reference that ties to it. There was an Asgardian staff that they find
Yep.
in the show, and there's actually an Asgardian character that's introduced that I'm hoping we'll see more of. But that was it. I mean, there was nothing that other than the fact they referenced it in the opening scene. That was the only tie to the movie, which, in reality, they couldn't really have a crossover story wise because not everybody sees a movie when it comes right out, and this was like within 2 weeks of the movie opening up, so I knew it wasn't going to expose a lot of stuff that was in the movie, but this
Yeah, it
was
was a little
almost
bit.
comical.
Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing for me. Usually when I hear crossover,
Yeah.
I'm used to something being added to the story. Besides the new character, there really wasn't much on the front of being a crossover. They mentioned
Right.
Thor maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I didn't expect Chris Helmsworth to show up
No.
in the show. I didn't expect any of the characters to show up. I just expected a little more. It soured me a little bit on the notion of crossover. I'm using quotation marks with that. Because to me, it was just kind of an episode. It was like another episode to
Yeah.
further.
Yeah, they shouldn't even bother trying to make that like a, some sort of tie-in to Thor. It was a very weak attempt at that. So they should have just skipped that overall and just left the episode the way it was. They didn't have to advertise it as you've seen Thor 2 in the movies now on Shield. It's blah, and it's like no, it's not. So they should have
Yeah.
just left it alone. But I did like the introduction of that one character, the Asgardian. I liked his whole story. I thought it was great.
And he was the guy. If I'm wrong, correct me. He is the guy who was in Ghostbusters 2, correct? Was that the same guy that plays like the?
I don't know.
I think it was. I could be wrong. If not, he reminded me of him a lot because I was like Ghostbusters 2 as soon as he came on the screen. So maybe it wasn't. But
I recognized him.
I also believe he was in Numbers for a while, a TV show. But
Okay.
uh,
He was also an Ally McBeal. Somewhat connected to Robert Downey,
Okay.
because he was in it. Yeah, he was a reoccurring character in Ally McBeal, a regular character. He was funny in that. That's what I recognize him from. I guess I should be ashamed that I admitted that I watched that, but toward the end of the series, it was actually pretty good. Robert Downey Jr. was in that for a while. Speaking of sort of the Avengers.
what now? Maybe I missed it here. That was, and then there was one more episode after this one after the Thor one or the crossover one, correct?
Yes, yeah. It's called
Okay.
Repairs, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, then we're not going to spoil that. We'll save that for next time.
Yeah, I guess that was
let's-
last week. I thought they wouldn't have had an episode last week, or it would have been a rerun. But
Well, actually, I believe that was the week before. I think they've been out for 2 weeks, and then the preview. Now, my thing with this show so far is we talked about it kind of went slow. I need a lot more action. I need a lot more characters. I need this to be more than the random kind of storyline that they follow in like a CIS or something like that. It
they
seems
need
like
a superhero.
yeah, and it seems like these stories they're just not. It's like Shield is an agency, okay, and here's some stories about things that happened in it. It doesn't really all seem to be tying together as nicely as I would like it as a viewer. So that's like my big thing with it. The the new episode that's being teased, we revisit the super from the first episode.
Ah.
And it's not ruining anything because obviously I haven't seen it. And Coulson tells him that we need you to suit up. So with that being the focus of next week's episode, I'm hoping that from there on out, either they focus on something with his powers or his character and developing his powers, or we actually start getting a little bit more of a concrete storyline following a certain path. For me right now, it's
I may have to go back and rewatch that, but didn't they, quote unquote, cure him of his powers at the end of that first episode?
yeah, I'm not. I don't really remember it either. I'd have to go back and watch it. Just from the preview, it looks like he has his powers.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe get them back.
I mean, that might just be my eye, and maybe them saying "suit up" is crossing my mind as he has his powers. But otherwise, I don't know why they would go get this random guy if he didn't have any powers.
Well, they definitely need to get a superhero. They need to get one from them, not one they make up, but one from the Marvel Universe, and put them in there. They got thousands to choose from, and they need to get one and put him in there and make him. They don't have to make him a regular character. I think they can be fine, be on the fringe thing, but they need to bring more stuff from the comics. They need to bring in Hydra or AIM or instead of making up a new, I think Centipede is who they're kind of fighting right now, or that's the mysterious agency in the background causing a lot of the stuff that Shield's been finding. But why I don't get why they had to make up a new one. Why didn't they just use AIM? And it concerns me that maybe they're like talking with the movie guys, and they're like going, no, I don't want you to use that because we might use that in one of the movies, and we don't want that for the small screen. And I wonder how much of that is going on, where the small screen guys are fighting with the big screen guys on who they can use in each.
Well, my understanding is, and why his last name is Agent Coulson. Do you remember his real name? Tom. It's Tom something.
I can't remember. Hold on. Go ahead, though.
Anyway, he was on another podcast talking about all his work because I didn't really know him before that, but apparently he is a screenwriter also. So he's been in Hollywood for a long time. And Clark he was Gregg. Talking about Clark Gregg. There you go. I don't know why Tom came into my mind.
He looks like a Tom.
Anyway, he was talking about when they were on the Avengers movie and he got killed. He said something about, which brings in your little tie of that Coulson as a robot.
Mm-hmm.
He had mentioned something to the director. He said, "Oh, I see what you're doing," and blah blah. And they were like, "Oh, hush, 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 hush," and because he was kind of bringing out that there was going to be a Shield series because he used to read all the comics and he knew all the connections and everything. So he was picking a lot of things up on the movie set, and they were telling him to kind of be quiet or whatever about it. And he also said something about that there was like everything that they do within that universe, or all the movies going into TV, they're all supposed to interlock, and they're being very cautious of how things are happening because they want to interlock them all into the movies at some point, whether it be just a reference. They don't really want to get this is the A camp and this is the B camp thing going. So that being, with that going on, I find that really interesting because he also, and I want to say it was in the Thor episode, and I'm sorry if it wasn't, he says something about when he died. I don't remember if it's not.
He's mentioned it a couple times throughout the series that even though that he actually died, and then or at least briefly died, or something came close to it.
Yeah.
But at the end of not the episode that was last night, but the last one I watched, the Well, I guess, or the Thor crossover, the very end, he has a dream that he's being he has getting a massage by some Tahitian girl. So he's like, "Oh, I love Tahiti," and then he wakes
Hmm.
up in a cold sweat, and it's like, he
Yeah,
doesn't know. They're leading up to revealing why he is still alive, or if indeed it is actually him, or the life model decoy that I suspect it
yes.
is.
Yeah,
But
which I'm gonna go ahead with you because I don't know. It might be in the episode that you haven't watched yet, but there's something that he mentions. I wanted. I'm now that I'm thinking about it, I think it is in the episode that you haven't watched. Um, that leads you more into where when I was watching it, I was like, "Yep, Kevin was right. They're gonna do that." So, I know that. So, I think that you are correct. That's where they're going, and I think it's gonna happen sooner than later. I wouldn't say by the end of the season, but maybe coming back into another season or something like that, that they might start getting into it more.
I think they
Um,
need to do that sooner. They need something big. Do
yeah.
they still do like mid-season breaks? I remember Lost. You would get up to about right about now, and they'd
Yep.
have a mid-season kind of cliffhanger, and then you'd go for a month or two before the second half of the season starts, and so you were always dying to know what happened. I wonder if
Yeah.
they're going to do that with this show.
Yeah, I know they do it with some shows still. It seems really random with what shows they do it with. If they did use this as a cliffhanger, I think people would get talking about it enough
Yeah,
that Um, we talked about ratings and stuff. I don't know if they're any better, but if the ratings are still down or whatever, and it doesn't really matter because we talked about that also, that they're just going to probably keep it going anyway.
hmm
That people that haven't been watching the show would probably catch up on the show and come back for the second half of the season. Um,
yeah.
so we'll have to wait and see what actually happens with it. But I'm waiting for new episode, because this one I think is really I really haven't been reeled in. Like they haven't really just sometimes you're just like, yeah, I'm totally into this. I'm totally reeled into the show, and that really hasn't happened for me yet, which
Right.
is upsetting for me because I really want to like the show more than I do. And it's not that I don't like the show, it's just I don't like it enough. And I'm tuning in every week to wait for something to start happening and really catch me. And I'm hoping that's going to be the return, because they seem to be doing this where they do an episode or two or three, take a week or two off because of whatever else is going on TV, and then come back. Um, so I'm hoping that happens with the new episode.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
I don't know. I'm kind of in the same thing. I like it, but it's not like I can't wait to watch it type thing.
yeah,
So and what I hope this doesn't become the black mark on the whole Marvel cinematic universe. Like, if this doesn't start catching on and working, dump it and go on to something else. Because you don't want. I don't know. This may be an idea that doesn't work. I don't know. Or tie it in. Well, you can't really, since Agent Coulson is firmly in these movies. And I was reading that um, Clark Gregg does the voice of Agent Coulson. He's not only Agent Coulson in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the TV series and in all the movies, he also does the voice for the cartoon version within Ultimate Spider-Man, and he also does the voice in the Lego Marvel Superheroes video game and the Marvel Heroes. He has made a little cottage industry out of this character.
yeah,
So good for him. But I'm just concerned that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to, I don't know, be the disappointment of the cinematic universe, and it's a shame because it there was no reason it should have. It had
yeah.
plenty of stuff to go off of, and they just started off. I like I said, started off too slow, and they have not. If they had just combined two
Yeah,
to three episodes, I think they'd be better off.
yeah. They're still trying to do a little catch up.
Yeah.
Um, Not the condiment, but
Right.
but over from Marvel, we're gonna jump to DC real quick. I just brought this up, and the only reason I brought this up to you, I believe it was over the holiday weekend, was she is one of my um, she's one of my favorite characters in the Batman universe, which has never really been. I'm waiting to see her in a movie, is what I'm getting at here. New Harley Quinn comic is going to be starting next week, I believe. I believe it's supposed to actually come out the 13th or the 15th or something like that. The artwork so far that I've seen looks. Some of it I like, some of it I don't like how she looks, which is always give and take with when you give people liberties to do what they want with a character. You're going to like some things, you're going to not like some things. She's always been one of my favorites. What I would really like to see, which I would have passed it over for Bane, because Bane really didn't do it for me. I would have passed over Bane and went out of the Joker into a really psychotic Harley Quinn character, even if you did have to team her up with a newer version of Poison Ivy or something like that. I would have that's what I was gearing for if it wasn't going to be. I didn't know Bane. I heard there was talks of Riddler and the Penguin at one point, which I would have been okay with that too. But she's always just, I don't know, there's something about her in the cartoon series, in the comics, the whole jester look I really like.
I do too. I think her look is pretty cool. Now, one question I have, because I was more of a Marvel guy growing up. Was Harley Quinn, was she created in the cartoon first and then brought over to comics?
I'm probably going to say this wrong. I want to say she was brought in the... Yes, she was brought in the comic. She was... no. I'm sorry. She was brought in the cartoon first, and then she was brought over into the comics, because they had created her as like a psychiatrist, who ended up being nuts in love with Joker, which I actually believe is all played out in, I believe there's a graphic novel called Mad Love, I think it's called, where it's all just Joker and Harley Quinn. And what I would have really liked for them to do, which would have been perfect for a Nolan movie, would, obviously we don't have Heath Ledger to do the Joker. You could have probably grabbed a couple clips of audio from the movie and used that as her studying as a psychiatrist or whatever, or had her mix in some tapes or whatever of him that they had from the movie, and they could have done something really like crazy and dark with her.
I agree.
I'm hoping it's probably something that I'll try to go pick up, only because I have little girls. They like all the girl superheroes. My one daughter is infatuated with Batman, which is a whole other thing. She's actually moved on to Batman and Spider-Man, or Batman, Superman, and now she's really into Spider-Man also. We had to get her a Spider-Man hat the other day, like a little winter hat, because she's been watching the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon series.
Right.
So
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. I may have to look. I haven't looked at any new DC at all, and I agree with you on your Harley Quinn. That would have been that probably would have been better than what Batman 3 was. That was okay. I didn't like Bane. Couldn't understand what he was saying half the time. So I think a Harley Quinn thing. I think that would have been a nice dovetail from the Joker. He didn't die at the end of that, right?
Who?
Well, I mean, I know Heath Ledger died, but did the Joker die at the end of the Dark Knight or whatever?
No. The way the person who supposedly died was Two-Face. He left Joker hanging on the scaffolding of the building that he was fighting everybody at. So like I said, grabbing a couple clips of audio and moving on into Harley Quinn would have been spectacular for me. I would have loved it. I'm a total fanboy of her character. But it's good and it's bad always. Things that usually make it bad can be a story or it can be art for me. That's one of the main things I look at. So I see some art from the new one I already like, and then I saw a couple frames that I don't like. So I'm gonna pick it up, see how it is. When the new 52 dropped, we grabbed Batgirl, Wonder Woman, Supergirl for the first 8 issues, I think, or something like that. Wonder Woman, we only grabbed like the first 2 issues, but we would sit and read them, and the little girls were into it. So, I mean, kids, comics, it all goes together in
Yep.
this household anyway. I don't know if it crosses over to yours. I know we talked about great segue for kids and cartoons. We both went to go see Frozen this past weekend.
Yes.
And real quick, loved it, hated it, was okay with it.
I was okay with it. I would have probably loved it if there was less singing. I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not a huge fan of musicals, and every time they broke into song, I just kind of groaned and rolled my eyes and sat there. I know it's a Disney movie, and I know it's that's a staple for Disney movies, but it just I don't know. I just don't really care too much for all the singing. I liked the story. Obviously, the animation was fantastic, and that's what I always go to those things. I don't mind going to those things because I love those type of movies. But if it hadn't been a musical, I probably would have loved it a lot more. But it was good, and I liked it by the end. I was good with the whole story. I got sucked into the story a little bit and got past the songs. But in general, I was kind of bored at the beginning because it was just too much singing.
Yeah, it was what I expected going in. I mean, even it was called Tangled, the Rapunzel one. I mean, there was still singing. I expected because it was from Disney. There's going to be a lot more singing other than if you go see like a Pixar movie, because that's just an animated movie where Disney's whole thing has always been, we're going to do some song and dance along with our animation, even from the old like Snow White and all the other stories.
But there was a lot more singing in this one. Like, I don't remember Tangled having that many songs, and I watched that several times, and I love Tangled, but this one just seemed like it was almost all song. At least the first half of it just seemed like it was just song after song after song. But
Yeah,
again, not bad songs. They were good stuff. I mean, but
No.
I just...
Yeah, it was it was just, I mean, it didn't ruin it for me at all.
So you loved it.
It just kind of, it's what I expected. I really liked the story. The characters were good.
Yeah.
The left turn in the story, let's say, about halfway through me, just because we've been doing toy shopping and I don't know who the characters are, and whatever. We always say we're going to spoil stuff anyway, so if you haven't seen it, you skip forward or something. But the guy who you thought she was going to marry and be good ended up being this terrible bastard. And
that didn't surprise me. I figured that the sister, the non-Ice Queen sister, I can't remember her name, was going to end up with the ice salesman. Yeah, was going to end up with Sven, right? Is that his name?
Yeah. He was Sven is the reindeer.
That's reindeer.
Yeah, he's Kristoff.
Kristoff. I knew they were going to end up together, but I didn't know exactly how.
Once they got together.
Yeah.
Once they got together, I figured that. Just the fact that they turned the other guy into a baddie. Right. Like that I wasn't expecting that. I expected that when Anna and Kristoff were hanging out together and they were getting along and all that, and that they were going to end up together in the end. That's ultimately what I saw. How they were going to do that, I didn't really know, and totally turning, I forget the other character's name because he wasn't in it as much as I thought he was going to be, but he's in the toy line. He wasn't as much. Comic relief from Olaf the Snowman, I thought was spectacular.
Yeah, he was hilarious.
I mean, yeah, I'm probably gonna end up going to see it again this weekend. Just we're probably gonna end up going again. There's not really a lot of kids movies out. I
No.
kind of wanted to do a movie since I'll be with all three of the girls this weekend, and that's probably what we'll end up going to see. But overall, I thought it was good. When it comes to Disney, I'm used to the singing, so it didn't bother me as much. You're probably right. There probably was a little bit more than past movies. I don't know if that was lack of if they thought they were enhancing the story,
Yeah,
or
I
there
don't
was
know.
or there was a lack of story without the song.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. That is very possible. They wanted to make sure they got to hit a certain time length, and you throw in some songs. Like I said, it just seemed like, and it was just, I don't mind it if it's song and then 15, 20 minutes of story and then another song but this seemed like it was song, 5 minutes song, 2 minutes song, and it was top heavy with the songs. I don't remember. It seemed like the second half of the movie did not have as much singing as the first half.
Yeah,
and maybe that's normal, but I don't know.
When her sister ended up getting, like, she confined herself to her bedroom pretty much. When that happened, and she kept running by, and at different ages that's how they were speeding up the growing up process of through the song. That song in particular, and maybe it was one of the shorter songs in the movie, but it seemed like one of the longer songs in the movie to me. Just because and it didn't have anything to do with the growing up and going through different phases, but it was just a lot of the same lines I noticed in a couple parts of it. And very repetitive, and like I said, maybe they're trying to stretch it out and make a certain time. We want to be at an hour and 45 minutes or whatever the movie ended up being. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was like 90 minutes or whatever it was. But
now the big song that I think is going to come from the movie is the cold never bothered me anyway, or whatever song that was actually a very good song. Because they closed the credits with that one. And the girls and I were kind of singing that as we were, walking out to the car. And of course, I was, I'm like, well, let's sit here and watch the credits because there may be something at the end.
It's not a Marvel movie, Kevin.
I know, but you never know. Anymore, I'm staying for credits in every movie just because maybe there's something at the end here.
Yeah. I like when they do. It's mostly Pixar that does it, but when they do the little bloopers, the blooper reel. I'm a big blooper reel guy, especially it's kind of gone the way of buying digital, so you don't get all that stuff all the time anymore. But if you're picking up a Blu-ray or a DVD, and that's maybe one of the main reasons I'll pick it up in that format anymore, is because of the extras. And I love blooper reels, whether it be live action or animated. I love when they do it.
Set up blooper reels?
Yeah. but I like when they do it. I like some of the older movies they used to actually show, like when Jim Carrey was doing his lines and he would just kind of sputter over everything, or he would actually mess up. Like, I like those kind of blooper reels. I like when they're, even if they're preconceived what they're gonna do, I still like it. I was just watching Monsters Inc. the other day, and I'll watch through the credits because they'll do the bloopers, and one of my favorite is when all the monsters are walking out and one of the first guys trips and then everybody's going down behind him. It makes me laugh every time. I don't know why. It's something stupid, and it's imaginary characters falling, but it gets to me. Also, in that movie, we had some previews. We had box trolls, which I think is the better. I think there were only 3 previews when I saw it. Maybe there was some kind of bird preview, which it looks like it's gonna completely bomb to me. And then there was box trolls, and box trolls. It was
different.
It looked horrible. I won't even mention it because it looked horrible. Box trolls is from Lakai, who did Paranorman and
Coraline?
Coraline, yes. Which I love because I love that they're like, it's stop animation puppetry to the next level of, what came out of The Nightmare Before Christmas and movies like that. I used to like a lot of stop animation stuff. When I was little, we actually had a were they called scan discs, I believe, or something
What?
like that. They were like a huge record that you would plug in
Oh,
instead of a VCR.
oh, yeah.
Laser
Yeah.
disc or
Laser disc.
something like
Laser
that.
disc. Laser disc.
We had one on there which haunts me, and I love it, and I wish I could find it. It was a movie. It was an adaptation of Hansel and Gretel, and it was stop animation type stuff. So I've always been into that stuff, and whenever Lakai puts out a movie, I mean, I know it's going to be good. I like Paranorman. The visual and everything is going to be good. I like Coraline, like Paranorman. I thought they were both great. So I'm hoping that this one is going to be like next level for them.
I never saw Paranormal Norman. Sorry.
Norman, yeah.
Or Coraline for that matter. But I have seen Nightmare Before Christmas. I do like that technology as well. Obviously, your Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeers and your.
Yep.
I was going to say Frosty the Snowman, but that's not. That's a cartoon. The Santa Claus is coming to town and all that we'll be seeing shortly. That's all that classic stop motion thing. One other thing about the box trolls that I liked a lot was how it wasn't just a trailer talking about the movie. It was a trailer about how they did the movie, basically.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And then for a minute there, I thought it was going to be more of a documentary about how they make those things.
So did I.
And it was fascinating just seeing how big these sets are. And the guy's standing there, and literally, he's having to either replace the head for facial movements, or he's moving
turn like a little screw to make those legs move or something. Like, yeah,
that was cool. That was really cool. Now, the end result, I have no idea. I don't know if Box Trolls is going to be good or weird or what. But
I think in the line of their movies, I think Coraline probably did the bigger numbers out of that or Paranorman. Paranorman was also good though. So like I said, it's always the mechanics behind what they do is amazing, and that's always good. Sometimes I'm not even gonna say the story lacks because I like their stories. It's just I don't know. It just doesn't catch an audience sometimes because maybe it comes out against something else.
Right.
If it comes out against like a Pixar, or I doubt Disney will have another movie at that time. I mean, if it comes out against another animation studio, then it's probably not going to do as good only for that reason. Otherwise, I think that they do.
When does it come out? Does it come out like next year sometime?
I want to say March. No, I think it comes out around my birthday, so it's around the middle of February, maybe.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. I'm gonna check.
I'm not totally sure.
I don't know either. Well, it's not an IMDb yet for some reason.
Yeah. Well, also we had another preview, which we're talking about, which I thought was Sleeping Beauty the whole time until they got to the and they just renamed it Maleficent, named after the bad witch in Sleeping Beauty, and that's played by Angelina Jolie. It kind of looks like they're gonna try to do what they did with Snow White and the Huntsman type imagery or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. For it being a Disney movie, it scared my two little girls a little bit.
Yeah, my girls weren't.
The older of the two. Either. Yeah, the older of the two realized that it was Sleeping Beauty because, like I said, they keep alluding to all the Sleeping Beauty stuff with the spinning wheel and everything, and then it comes out that it's named after her. So it seems like it's going to be a little bit darker of a movie, which I'm not going to complain about. But I don't know how dark Disney's going to go with it. The fact that Angelina Jolie is playing her, I didn't think she looked bad or that the selective dialogue was horrible.
Now, is this the first you had seen of this?
Yes, this is the first time I actually saw it.
Did you know about it prior?
No, I had no idea.
I knew they were working. I knew they were working on this. I saw some still shots of Angelina Jolie dressed up as. See, I thought it was Maleficent, but maybe you're right. I don't know. And I thought, wow, she looks really good. That was some pretty good costuming. I like the idea of this movie, but I'm with you. Whether it will be good or not, or whether it will be too scary for the girls or kids, it won't be too scary.
No.
But it'll be Disney scary, you know.
Yeah. And Disney scary can get scary enough sometimes.
Exactly. I was gonna say, as you think about it, a lot of those Disney movies have tragedy. You know, Bambi's mother is killed at the beginning. In Up, the guy's wife dies. You know, and well, even the worst is Finding Nemo. His entire family and wife are killed at the beginning, and his one and only son is deformed for life. I mean, it's terrible stuff.
Now, Disney does like to... Now, the only thing about this movie is that Disney usually kills off the female role pretty quick.
Yeah, sexist this Disney is.
This they have the female... You notice the father doesn't usually get off very often, or the male role in Disney movies. But I mean, maybe this is their. We're gonna throw one to the ladies here and let the female lead actually have a lead here. But it looks pretty good to me. I'm interested in it. Like I said, as far as I don't think it's not gonna be too scary for adults. Obviously, it's not a horror movie. As for age range for children, though, I'd have a let's see. By the time it comes out, we'd be like 8 to 3-year-old range. So the 8-year-old might be into it. The 4 and the 3-year-old, it might be a little too much. I'm not really sure. I don't know if it's going to be a rent it, or if it's going to be a go see it, because I don't want to go see it and waste all the money and walk out like 15 minutes into it, because they're totally terrified.
Yeah, it comes out in May, the end of May, and I don't see a rating on it, but it's got to be PG, right?
Yeah, it's going to be at least 13, if anything.
Yeah, if it's PG-13, I'll be surprised. And then just as a follow-up, Box Trolls, that doesn't come out until September of next year.
Okay, so they're really teasing it.
Yeah. They're planning on that. Now, Simon Pegg is one of the voices in Box Troll. I like him.
Yep.
So I'm okay with that. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I like this idea of this Maleficent, just going off of her perspective on the whole thing.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting, and some of the effects I thought with the the thorn, the rose thorn bushes that are going to surround the castle, that all looked really cool. And it'll be, I don't know who's supposed to play. Is it Prince Charming? Is that Prince Charming, or is that somebody else? No, it's not Prince. Princess Aurora is Sleeping Beauty, and it is. I guess it's just some unknown knight.
I forget what his name is. He actually has a name.
They have a Stefan and a Prince Philip.
Prince Philip, that's who it is. There you go.
Okay. IMDb is wonderful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it usually gives you all the information you need.
Yep.
So we're gonna. I mean, that's all the movie stuff I can think of, unless you have anything.
Did we talk about Thor 2? Did you go see Thor: Dark World?
I didn't.
Okay.
You know what? It ended up being one of those things where we have the girls, and I don't really. Most of the movies I go see, I get time to go see movies with them. Going by myself to a movie is very rare, and if we have the boys to go see it, then we'll take them. The weekend that they were supposed to be here, they weren't. Something happened the next weekend where, well, I don't think we had them again that weekend, but it just ended up where if I was going to go see it, it was going to be because we were taking them, and that ended up not happening yet. So I haven't seen it. They still haven't seen it. I kind of told them, because I talked to you about it, that if they are going to go see it, don't rent the bootleg version, which they usually do, or they get the bootleg version, don't do that because they always cut off right at the credits, and they're going to miss the cutscenes. And I told them if they do go see it, to stay till the end because there are two. But other than that, I heard it was really good. It did pretty well, so I mean, it couldn't have been all that bad. But you did see, or no, it didn't come out last time we talked, did it? It just came out that weekend, and you hadn't seen it yet. Were you happy with it?
Yeah, I was. It didn't blow me away as much as the first one did. I like Thor, the original. I put second to the Avengers as far as I'm ranking the whole thing. I really liked Thor. I thought that was, and it's probably more or less because I was just really surprised at how well done it was. And
Yeah.
Thor: The Dark World is also very well done, but it's not as it's not as good as the first. But it was still really good. I mean, like I won't give anything away, but I will say that it got a lot better once Loki was in it more often. Like, so the first half, you see he's there, but he's not as frequent, and then he becomes more of a player toward the middle, and then toward the end, and through the end, and it gets better when he's the guy. Who is it that plays Loki? Shoot, I can't remember his name. But anyway, Loki steals the show, which he did anyway. He did it in the first movie. He did it in the Avengers. He's one of the reasons why I think people go back. I think he's one of the reasons why the cinematic universe has taken off as it is, because he's really good at Loki and at playing Loki. And Tom, is it Middlesworth? I can't remember his name. Name.
There we go.
Tom Hiddleston. Oh, am I losing you?
Yeah, I lost you for a minute there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, anyway, Tom Hiddleston, he steals the movie as he plays Loki, and it was good.
So, do you think they're done with him? I don't know
No.
if you heard me when I asked that.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh no, I didn't hear that. No, they're not done with him.
Okay. Yeah, because I heard the same thing, that he's like a really big pull, that people really like him. It's almost like completely getting rid of Agent Coulson.
Yeah.
I don't know why, he's just really likable as far as characters go. So I just didn't know where they left it, if they might be done with him. I would hope not, but that's good to hear. That hopefully.
Yeah. No, I think we'll see him. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw him. I don't think he's supposed to be in the next Avengers, but it wouldn't surprise me if we saw him in the Guardians of the Galaxy at least a little bit. And then I don't know, but that they I read somewhere that they kind of have him as like one of the core villains in the cinematic Marvel universe, that he will always be there to some extent, and good, because the guy who plays him is awesome, and they do really good with them. There's one scene in there with in Thor 2 that he just steals it. He's funny, and the character is great. So
cool. We're gonna done with movies. We're gonna jump into some techie stuff now. This is gonna be a light run since we haven't done this before, but we got the new game systems that have come out now. And what's the last game system that you had? Because I know we played.
I have a place.
You had the PlayStation.
I have a PlayStation 3. Is what I have now.
Okay. So my thing was, the new systems came out within the last few weeks. When in your absence, we talked about them because James actually picked up both of them. He picked the Xbox One up first. He had just received his PlayStation 4 like a day before we were going to be recording the podcast. So there's things that he liked, things that he didn't like. My big thing is we're coming into Christmas. There's some techie gifts that we probably need to talk about. Though those being big ones, which are going to be more for really hardcore fans that really want to just jump into the next generation of gaming. Like he's saying, like the way these games are looking and the way these systems are built, he thinks that these are probably going to go on. I said maybe 5 or 6 years, and he's thinking more like maybe 10 with what's built in behind them. He said PlayStation is a little bit more friendly, but the social aspect of Xbox you can't deny. I was always an Xbox guy. I picked up a PS2 later on. I never got PS3, but I may be jumping ship and going. My idea is if you can afford one of these new systems, because I mean it's no drop in the bucket. It's $500, and that's just for the system and your one controller and the game that they give you with it, which I don't even know if it's a good game. But then you still have to deal with if you need a second controller, if you want the video stuff with it, all the extras. You're looking at over $600 by the time you're done with buying one of these systems. Yeah. And my thought is heading into the holiday season, since you were a PlayStation guy, and would it be better for someone to maybe jump over to another system, the other older system? So instead of jumping to the Xbox One, maybe jumping over to the Xbox 360 and picking up those exclusive titles that aren't transferable between the two.
Well, you know, when I was faced with a situation where I was going to be living on my own, and so I had the Xbox 360 with Kinect, and I liked that. But I decided that when I moved in here, I was going to try the PlayStation 3 for a couple reasons. One, I wanted the Blu-ray player, which is built in. Another part is that I believe in the Xbox, and I think this still holds true with the Xbox One or whatever the new version's called. You have to buy the Xbox Gold membership in order to do stuff like Netflix and Amazon and all that other stuff. And,
to get all
you have to have.
They have
so to have that, you have to buy from Xbox whatever the monthly or yearly thing is, and then pay Netflix their monthly fee and all that. PlayStation, you don't have to do that.
Yeah,
so
for
PlayStation,
it's $50.
Okay.
Yeah, for a year it's $50, and then PlayStation is free.
Right, you just have to pay the Netflix thing. So to me, that's very appealing on the PlayStation side. And honestly, I don't know that you really, if you put them side by side, unless you were, I listened to some of the gaming podcasts I think that you had where the guy was talking about the two. If you had them side by side, I'm not, like I said, unless you were an intimate gamer. If you're probably someone like me who I play some video games, but I'm not immersed in it, I'm not sure I would know the difference.
Yeah, I mean, as far as gaming goes anymore, I'm more of I like PC just because the graphics will blow anything away. I mean, and you can always upgrade it. It's not like you can jump in to one of those console systems and just start upgrading your graphics when you feel like it. So I mean, you're stuck with it until the next version of it comes out. Where with a PC, all you're doing is swapping out your graphics card. The things that I do like about the new systems are the Xbox does not have that tray anymore that comes out. That ended up being a big problem on our 360 here that we have at the house, where I have to bang on the top of it and then hope that it reads it when it takes it in, because the drive went. Now you feed the disc into the system. I like that they changed that. PlayStation
so that's just
4.
Like PlayStation.
Yeah, PlayStation 4, and the new systems, they both have Blu-ray players, which I said last time, it worries me, because the fact that Xbox is caught up with PlayStation 4 can only mean that something new is going to come out eventually. It might not be soon enough, but Xbox has always been behind. The first Xbox didn't. You could play a CD on it, you couldn't play a DVD on it.
Right.
The 360, you could play a DVD, but you couldn't play a Blu-ray. PlayStation 2, I think going back to PlayStation 2, you could play your DVDs on. and then PlayStation 3 you could play your Blu-rays on. So the fact that they've kind of evened out in that aspect makes me just go, okay, well, something new's got to be coming out, whether it's for the 4K stuff or something. Eventually, something's going to happen because Xbox is caught up with PlayStation, and that's probably only my mind, but something is going to come around eventually. That's the things I like. The major things for Christmas are, if you don't have the $500 plus, you got to get all the extras because maybe you have more than one kid, or maybe your kid likes the motion stuff, and the Xbox One comes with the Kinect now, I believe. The PlayStation, I think you still have to buy some of the Move stuff for.
Wow.
But if $500 isn't in the budget, I would say jump to the system that you don't have. If you have an Xbox, grab a PlayStation 3. There's exclusive titles that you can only get on certain systems anyway. Halo ends up being it for Xbox.
Although
I've always been.
I read that they were going to stop doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's always going to be a pull. There's certain things that don't do. There's certain games that are always going to float over both systems. But to actually keep separate from, or to differentiate yourself from the other system, you always have to have those exclusive titles.
Yeah.
PlayStation they've always had ones that I always wanted to play, which would be great to play with my kids, like Little Big Planet. Big Planet 2. I never got to play those. They also have other ones. They also have games that I would like as an adult, like The Last of Us, Uncharted.
I played the Uncharted. Actually, I've done 1, 2. No, I haven't finished 2 yet, and I want to get 3 because those are pretty fun. Because it's not just shoot 'em up. There's puzzles and stuff like that, which I like.
Yep. Yeah, and I like that also. I always like puzzles. So I've always been in a quandary of what to do, whether to pick up both. But since I got into PC gaming, I don't really care either way. But if I was going to pick up a system, I would pick up an older system that I don't have. I would wait for the price drop, whether that comes in a few months, right after Christmas, sometime next year. At some point, these things are going to start dropping down a little bit in price. And if there's games that I like on one more than the other, then that's what I'm going to do, because I always picked up Xbox exclusively for Halo, and as far as I saw, Bungie, they split Microsoft in a way, even though Microsoft still has their hands in there a little bit, so I think they get the exclusive rights maybe for whether it be a week or a few months or whatever it is, but they have a new game that's coming out called Destiny that looks really good. But that's supposed to be on both systems. So, like I said, the last time we did the podcast with all the gaming stuff, I kind of fell out of love with Halo over these last few games. So maybe that's my boost to go pick up PlayStation this time. There's some other tech things that you can probably pick up. Is there? I know there's like phones and stuff. There's things like the Motorola X, the Motorola G that just came out, customizable. Not really the highest end of phones, but has high-end features, and it's still in a price point where maybe you have a teenager or something, you want to pick up a phone. Those probably aren't a bad idea. The iPhone 5C is relatively cheap if they're an iPhone person. There tons of phones and stuff. But those seem to be the big ones that if you're going to pick up something, you're not going to go pick up a 5S probably for your teenager if it's not in your budget and you have other kids. Always things you have to take into consideration.
I think
different incomes.
I think there's a big market for secondhand phones, secondhand gaming consoles, like you were talking about. If you wanted to go and not get one of the new ones, people are going to be able to start unloading their existing Xbox 360s because they're going to get the new one, and none of the games play on the new versions on either side, which I think is a mistake. So people are going to be unloading all those because they're going to, parents are not going to want their kids to have more than one gaming console. So I think there'll be a big market for the secondhand stuff. Which, if I was going to open up a store, secondhand electronics wouldn't be bad. I think GameStop certainly has made a lot of money off of that. But if you're doing it with phones and stuff like that too, I don't see why you wouldn't. I've got a desk drawer that I got about 5 different phones that I've had over the years. That probably they don't work anymore and probably wouldn't be able to be used, but there is that thing.
And
Go ahead.
You said you picked up a tablet for Christmas.
Yes, I got the girl.
No,
Go ahead.
no, I was just going to ask you which one you actually ended up picking up in the end.
I got the Microsoft Surface.
Oh, that's with the keyboard and everything, right?
Yeah, it has a keyboard cover. I got that too. It's separate. It doesn't come with it. But it was reasonably priced. I couldn't get them to tell me if they wanted a tablet or a laptop because they kept saying they wanted the keyboard, the laptop. So I did this one as a kind of a go-between. Even though I think, I wasn't going to buy them an iPad. I don't have the money for that. So the Surface was reasonably priced. It's got some good stuff on it. They only need it for internet and maybe watch movies or stuff. But I wanted them to be able to convert because they may go to another room and want to watch a movie or something like that, as opposed to carrying around a laptop. Yeah. So I haven't had a chance to fire it up, and I want to get in there and get stuff set up for them. But I also went and bought them a mouse for it, and then I realized I don't think the mouse works on it because it's a tablet majority. It's not. It's not both. So I bought a mouse, but I don't think they're going to be able to use it.
But does it have a USB? It has to have a USB port or something on it.
It has a USB port, but I don't know that it supports a mouse in general. Like like on a tablet, it's your finger. It's not. There's not a cursor there, right?
Well, does the keypad have a touch pad on it?
No, it's just it's just for typing. So I think you use your finger to get to whatever application. You use the tablet part of it, and then when you go into a spot that requires typing, then you go and use the keyboard. And I'm assuming that's how it works. I have not actually sat down and tried it, but that's probably the case.
Yeah, that's one thing I haven't actually checked out. I've been interested in one, but I really don't have a need for one, so there's no reason to try to pick one up or try to really play with one in store yet. I mean, I probably should, only because of what we do on the site and everything, but I haven't gotten to that point where I've really had the time to spend trying to play with one. The only reason I was asking what tablet you picked up is this past year, now I have two daughters that are younger than your daughters, and we ended up picking up a Nabi for them, which is a tablet. It's an Android tablet. It's preloaded with it's got a lot of kid stuff. It's got like a parent mode, daddy mommy mode, where you can go in and you can use the internet, but you can restrict access to stuff like that, and also you have to go into that mommy daddy mode to actually buy the games or applications that you want. Some are free, but if there's something you want to buy, so it limits the kids from going in and you having your credit card set up and they buy 10 apps and you're paying over $40 for you don't even know what. Right. That's a nice little tablet. It's got a big freaking bumper on it, so I mean they show a grown-up standing probably like 6 feet tall, dropping it from their hands, not slamming it on the ground, but dropping it and it being okay. It's a little shock-proof and stuff like that. So, I was just wondering about that.
Yeah.
Which one you picked up, but let me know how they like it when we actually get to after Christmas, when they get a chance to play with it, because that seems.
Yeah, I know they'll probably like it because they've been asking for something, but. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I took a gamble because they were talking laptop, and it just seemed to switch back and forth on which one they wanted because they play with my iPad all the time, and then they've got iPods, and they play with those all the time. So I thought for sure they'd want a tablet, and I got mixed reviews on that. So we'll see what happens. I think they'll be fine with this regardless. You know what? And if they're not, well then. Too bad.
Well, then Daddy's going to have something else to play with.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have an extra tablet on my hand, so I'm okay with that.
I also read an article while we're in our tech stuff this week that and the reason I'm gonna bring it up to you is because I know at one point you were a BlackBerry user. So
Long time ago.
the thing that I saw was that BBM hit a little while ago. BlackBerry Messenger, for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, hit a little while on Android. It was supposed to be released. It crashed. They re-released it. Got a whole hell of a lot of downloads, but mixed reviews. So it seems like even though they may have, I'm just gonna throw a number out here. Even though they may have 1 million downloads, maybe only 25% of those people are actually using it. It's constantly running in the background. It seems to be a little bit more of an annoyance, other than being able to switch to using it as your messenger system. Now, did you use BBM when you had your BlackBerry?
Yeah.
Or
I don't. No. I mean, like back when I had my BlackBerry, this was 5 or 6 years ago.
yeah,
Message texting wasn't that huge. Like I say, it wasn't that huge. I'm sure it was, but it was more on the computer. It
mhm,
wasn't. It wasn't really the handheld event it is now.
yeah.
And I had a BlackBerry Storm, and then I got a Storm 2, which is their version of the iPhone. So I think I did some of it, but not a whole lot of it, I guess.
Yeah, it just seems, I don't know. For me, it seems a little bit like it's too little, too late.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people. I don't even think a lot of people use third-party messenger systems anymore. Maybe if they still have, I don't even know if there's still some kind of IM community out there. I don't really think it is. I think there's more texting community. So I mean, your iPhone comes with your messaging app. Google has since pushed forward, moving forward with their release of KitKat. Was the first thing. Their Hangouts, the app for the phone, actually, and you can use it on your iPhone too. The Hangouts app is actually an SMS messenger now. So they used to have a messaging app, and then they had Hangouts. They've since done away with their messaging app that they had, and now Hangouts is the messaging app slash Hangouts app. So I mean, things like that are pretty. I mean, it's a step forward. So BBM coming out. I mean, BlackBerry stinking as it is, it might have been a nice little rejuvenation for them, but I don't think it worked out in a good sense. In a good sense.
No, I think it's too little, too late, like you said. I think RIM is probably close to being bankrupt because I just don't think BlackBerry's even in a corporate world, which is really where BlackBerry has made its bread and butter. I don't think it's as prominent anymore. I think iPhones have taken over, and probably the Android phones. Certainly, like nowadays, it just seems like whatever phone you have, the company just reimburses you for your bill. It's like how it works for me. I've got an iPhone, I get reimbursed for my bill. They don't provide me one. I could get one, but I don't.
Plus, by the time you get that phone, there's a new one coming out within
Yep.
a few months anyway.
Yep.
So, I mean that's a whole other thing in itself. That's why a lot of these companies are doing the Next. I think it's AT&T that has the Next, where you sign up for the phone. When you pay 50% of it off. You can upgrade your phone. That's how those work. You end up
Right.
paying a little bit more of a premium for the service. In the long run, you end up paying more for what your phone would cost. Or at the end of 2 years, if you hang on to it that long, you pay the whole thing off and you own the phone as a normal contract would go. And you don't pay those extra upfront fees. Like if I wanted to go get a Nexus 5, which came out, I would pay $22 a month along with my bill, and it would space out that way instead of paying the upfront of $200 or whatever a higher end smartphone might be. When I got my Galaxy S3 last year, which was the big thing at the time, coming right around into this year, we had the 4, so I was already a step behind what was new, which is always how it's going to be with technology. You know, there's no way it's hard to stay ahead of the curve unless you're the company that's staying ahead of the curve.
Right.
Being a consumer, you're just constantly playing catch up, or you know, you find something that's going to keep you happy long enough until 3 or 4 more models come out, and then you decide to jump on to that, which at that point you'll be behind again.
Right. Yep. That's
But,
you're constantly following technology, so.
yeah. But so I mean that we pretty much covered everything. It looks like anything coming up that we need to mention or talk about. I mean,
No, we're this next year is going to bring some good movies coming up. I'm going to start diving more, reintroducing myself to some comics, so I can start talking about that. But it'll be mostly on the Marvel side. I'm interested in seeing what the Avengers are doing these days. So I'm going to
like you've been
looking.
friends with them and you just kind of fell out of contact.
Well, you know what? That's a very good analogy. Yeah, I was buddies. We were best friends when I was kids, and then I got a little disenchanted with them, and now with the movies and everything, and they seem to have come back to more prominence. Every comic went through this whole grim and gritty mode, and I just couldn't. I didn't like it. So that's basically when I kind of stopped reading, and now they've kind of rebooted it. But maybe next time we talk, we can talk about the how the comic book companies want to continually reboot their universes and start every comic over at number 1.
Yeah,
I
well,
think
that's it. Yeah, that was the whole thing with the New 52 that DC did. It was a fresh start for anybody who was completely lost and wanted to start fresh.
Yeah, let's talk about that next time because there's some issues, there's some problems with it. I've actually read other things on that, but it's too big of a topic to get into now since we've already been 2 hours on this or however long.
Yep, we're good. So we'll catch everybody next time, and this is Brandon and Kevin for the Arcade City.
Take it easy.